Developers called it a piracy paradise. Security experts called it a threat. And tech giants were quietly spending millions trying to shut it down. And the crazy part? If you had a phone anytime between 2014 and 2020, you've probably used at least one of these, maybe even all of them, without ever knowing what was really going on behind the screen. Have you ever noticed how some apps are so popular that everyone seems to have them, until suddenly, nobody does? And not because they got old, but because they were actually threatening you? These are the apps everyone used, until they became dangerous. Starting with Battery Doctor. Before Android phones had great battery optimization built in, there was this one app everybody swore by. If your phone died too fast, someone would say, just install Battery Doctor, it fixes everything. And honestly, for a while, it felt like magic. Battery Doctor promised longer battery life, smarter charging, faster performance, and one-tap optimization. It showed you colorful charts, energy-saving tips, and claims like extend your battery by 50%. For millions of users, especially back in the early 2000s, it became essential. At its peak, it had over 100 million installs. But here's the problem. Battery Doctor didn't actually fix anything. Most of what it did, like force-closing background apps, actually made your battery worse. Android would just reopen those apps in the background, wasting even more power. But the app didn't stop there. Battery Doctor needed deep phone permissions to optimize your device. And once it had access, it began doing something users didn't expect: collecting data. And lots of it. Your usage habits, your device details, and sometimes your network information. Over time, the app also became packed with full-screen ads, notification ads, and even aggressive ads pretending to be battery warnings. Eventually, Google started cracking down on apps that misled users, abused permissions, or used deceptive advertising. Battery Doctor landed right in the middle of that crackdown. In early 2020, it was removed from the Play Store along with the rest of Cheetah Mobile's apps. Just like that, the app that once promised to save your battery became the one draining users' trust the most. If you were ever deep into Android modding, you've definitely heard of Happy Mod. For a lot of people, it felt like a secret backdoor into a premium world. Free in-app purchases, unlocked skins, unlimited coins, and ad-free versions of popular apps. It was basically the App Store for modded apps, and plenty of younger users treated it like a cheat code for their phones. It didn't even pretend to be a legit app. It was never on Google Play. You had to download the APK from their website, flip on Install from Unknown Sources, and just hope for the best. And for many users, that was part of the thrill. You felt like you were unlocking something the rest of the world didn't know about. But the problem with downloading modded apps isn't the mods. It's the risk hiding inside them. Happy Mod wasn't one app. It was a platform filled with thousands of modified APKs uploaded by random strangers. And every time you installed one, you were basically gambling with your phone. No official vetting, no security scanning, no guarantees the code hadn't been tampered with. Researchers later found that modded APKs were far more likely to contain malware, spyware, or hidden trackers. And in gaming communities, the consequences were even harsher. Games like Call of Duty Mobile all had strict anti-cheat systems. Users who installed Happy Mod versions got banned. Not temporary ban. Nope, a permanent ban. Entire accounts wiped. But the real danger was the permissions. Some Happy Mod apps asked for access to your files, your phone calls, your contacts, and way more than a game should ever need. People installed these mods for free gems or coins. But the real price was their privacy. Happy Mod gave users whatever they wanted: unlimited items, unlocked features, premium access. But it also gave unknown developers unlimited access to their phones. If Happy Mod was the easy way to get modded apps, Game Guardian was the tool for people who wanted full control. This wasn't just some mod store, it was actually a hacking engine, a cheat tool. Something that lets you go into a game's memory and literally rewrite the rules. Want unlimited health, max coins, speed hacks, freeze a timer, duplicate items? Game Guardian could do all of that, even more. And because of how powerful it was, it became legendary in Android communities. Almost every tutorial on YouTube used it. Gamers downloaded it by the millions, not realizing they were playing with fire. To work properly, Game Guardian often needed root access. That's the highest level of permission your phone can give, higher than any other normal app. Once an app has root, it can access system files, modify internal processes, and bypass normal security checks. It's basically giving the app the keys to the entire house. And that's where things get dangerous. The tool itself wasn't necessarily malware, but downloading it wasn't simple. There were dozens of fake versions online with lookalike names, all hosted on sketchy websites. Clicking the wrong link meant installing a version stuffed with spyware or hidden scripts. People would root their phones, install Game Guardian, and unknowingly open the door to malicious apps that now had full system access. Even the real version carried big risks. Rooting your device disables several layers of Android security. It makes your phone easier to compromise, easier to track, and significantly easier to infect with malicious mods. And then there's the gaming consequences. Nearly every major game, from online shooters to RPGs, has ways to detect memory editing. Users who tried Game Guardian got their accounts flagged, banned, or permanently locked. Who remembers Clean Master? Back in 2010, Clean Master felt like one of those apps you just had to have on your phone. Everyone talked about it, friends recommended it. And with over 1 billion downloads, it became one of the most used Android apps in the world. On the surface, it looked harmless, maybe even helpful. It promised to clean junk files, boost your RAM, speed up your phone, free up storage, cool your processor, protect your privacy, pretty much everything except make you breakfast. And for a lot of people, it worked. You'd tap one button and suddenly your phone felt faster. But behind all the flashy animations and phone-boosted pop-ups, something else was happening. Clean Master wasn't just analyzing your phone, it was analyzing you. Reports later revealed that the app was collecting a shocking amount of data. Your browsing habits, your app usage, your Wi-Fi information, and even how you scrolled. And all of that data was being funneled back to its parent company, Cheetah Mobile. Then things got worse. It started showing aggressive ads. Not normal mobile ads, but ads disguised as notifications, security warnings, fake alerts, and pop-ups that led people to more of Cheetah Mobile's apps. It was a whole ecosystem designed to get users trapped in a cycle of installs, ads, and data. Eventually, the scandals caught up with them. Google found evidence of ad fraud across several Cheetah Mobile apps, including Battery Doctor, and in 2020, Google banned the entire group from the Play Store, and just like that, one of the most popular Android apps on Earth vanished. If Game Guardian lets you rewrite games, Lucky Patcher lets you rewrite apps themselves. And that's exactly why it became one of the most downloaded underground tools in Android history. For a whole generation of Android users, Lucky Patcher felt like the ultimate cheat code. It could remove ads, bypass license checks, unlock paid features, modify in-app purchases, and even force premium modes in apps that were never supposed to be free, all with just a few taps. And because it worked on so many major apps, Lucky Patcher spread fast, especially in countries where paid apps were expensive or credit cards weren't common. For many, it wasn't about piracy, it was just about wanting apps to work without annoying ads or restrictions. But once again, the power came with a cost. Lucky Patcher operates by modifying the internal code of other apps. That means it needs extremely deep access to your phone, sometimes even root it, essentially injects changes into APKs, rebuilds them, and reinstalls modified versions. And when a tool can modify any app on your device, it can also access sensitive data inside those apps. That's the main risk. If you download a fake or modified version of Lucky Patcher, and there are tons of them, you're giving malware developers the perfect tool to hijack your apps, siphon your data, or install corrupted APKs without you noticing. Even the real Lucky Patcher raised red flags for security tools because of how it behaved. Antivirus apps often flagged it as risky, not necessarily because it was malware, but because its abilities were identical to those of malware. tampering with apps, altering permissions, injecting code. And then there's the legal and account risk. Games and apps with strong anti-cheat or anti-tamper systems detect Lucky Patcher instantly. Accounts get banned, subscriptions get flagged. Some apps simply refuse to run if they sense it was installed on the same device. Before Android had a clean, simple file manager built in, ES File Explorer was the app everyone installed. It wasn't just popular, it was iconic for years. It sat at the top of the Play Store charts with more than 100 million installs. It looked professional, felt powerful, and packed a ridiculous amount of features. You could browse your internal storage, your SD card, your network drives, your cloud accounts, even other devices on your Wi-Fi. For tech-savvy users, ES File Explorer felt like the Swiss Army knife of Android apps. But behind its polished interface, something was very wrong. Very, very wrong. Over time, the app became bloated with ads, pop-ups, and unnecessary boost tools that no one asked for. But the real problem started when security researchers discovered something much more serious. The app was quietly running a hidden web server in the background. In simple terms, this meant they opened a network port on your phone, one that anyone on the same Wi-Fi network could access. And once they were in, they could see your files, pull data, or even install apps without you touching your phone. It was a massive security flaw, and most users had no idea it was happening. Then came the scandals. Reports started surfacing that the company behind ES File Explorer was involved in shady advertising practices. Things like invisible tap fraud, where the app would secretly click ads in the background to make money. Users weren't just being shown ads. Their phones were being used to generate ad revenue without their knowledge. That's when Google stepped in. And you know it's serious business when the big guys step in. In 2019, the app was pulled from the Play Store for violating policies related to deceptive. One day, it was everywhere. Trusted, recommended, installed on millions of devices. The next day, it was gone. Just like that. So when you look at all these apps together, a clear pattern appears, and the truth becomes simple. When an app promises you shortcuts, hacks, boosts, or unlimited anything, the hidden cost is almost always higher than the reward.